Do a lot of people usually come in here? I don't know how Twitch works.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Portable Trevor here, and today we have a very special guest. She is the real mean girl, and she's an amazing professional wrestler. Please welcome Dani Jordyn. Woo! And she's so excited to be here.
Hey. What's up?
How's it going, Dani? Are you having a good day?
Yeah. Kind of. Having an okay day. I had to do
Why
this.
is that?
I had a lot of things going on, and then I had to do this. So.
And this was the highlight of your day, right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, so Dani is a professional wrestler, and she has a lot of accolades as well. Dani, why don't you tell us about your wrestling career and kind of how you got started in that?
Man, long story short, in as little words as possible for you, because I know that that's your favorite thing. I was living in Savannah, Georgia at the time, and I wanted to be a wrestler. Well, it didn't just start like that. I didn't really want to be a wrestler like growing up. I thought it was just like a silly dream. And then it's such a long story. So I kind of like fell in and out of watching it on TV through like school and everything growing up. Fast forward to high school, I kind of watched a little bit, like here and there, if Raw or SmackDown was on or something. Like my stepdad would have it on when I come home, so I'd see that, and I was kind of like observing from a distance and like, oh, this is pretty cool again, you know, like it's good to see this on, because I haven't seen it since I was like a kid. So I started to get more into it, and then when I graduated high school, I had a lot more time, so I was just working. I didn't go to college right away, so then I started like religiously watching it, and I was like, I had it on all the time. And all I knew was WWE at the time. I didn't know that like the independent scene existed at all. So I also wanted to be an actor, an actress, whatever. So one day, my mom came home and she was like, I found this flyer for an extra spot in the movie Baywatch. So I did that. I got it. I was an extra in the movie. I was on set for like 2 weeks, like 7 days, but within 2 weeks because it was like raining sometimes. And
The one that recently came out, Baywatch, with The Rock and Zac Efron?
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Was cool. That was very cool. That was the first movie I've ever done. So that was really fun. And I basically just got paid to like tan on the beach. Near the
Were
rock.
you just like in the background, or did you have like a speaking role or anything?
Just in the background. There was where was I going with that? So I didn't really get to talk to The Rock or anything, but he's always been an idol of mine. So I've always looked up to him. I've always wanted to like have a career and a life like him. Like he started from nothing, got like put in the work, did this and this, got successful on his own, was able to start branching out to a bunch of different things like Hollywood, and then creating different things for himself, like branding, like his tequila that he has, and like the Under Armour brand. So all that stuff is something that I've wanted to do and like keep up with him. So career idol. I just love him so much. So meeting him, I was just like, oh man, like something just clicked inside my brain and my heart that was like, maybe I should go follow in his footsteps and like try wrestling. So I was already into it. And then the women's revolution started happening once the women were like, they changed the Divas belt to just the women's championship belt. And then the 4 Horsewomen got called up from NXT. That's when I really I felt something in my soul that was like, you can do that now. Like it became so much more realistic for me instead of a silly little dream that I just thought I wasn't good enough for. Never thought that I was athletic or pretty enough or like good enough in general. I never thought that I could do that until I started seeing these awesome women like just getting the world for their straight up talent. And I was just like, I want to go do that. So I just Googled how to be a wrestler and found out some information on that. I was like, all right,
How
cool.
to be a wrestler. Click.
I literally, how to be a wrestler. Said. And stuff came up and I read the stuff, and then it was like, all right, 3 to 5 years of experience is what top companies want me to have. So I'm going to go do that. I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, I don't know what I have to do. So I got a gym membership. I started going to the gym. I got pretty strong. I was a self-taught power lifter, I guess. Did the form completely wrong because I did not know what I was doing because I was self-taught. So that was bad. I just thought if I watched enough of the Olympics that I could just get it. And I thought I was doing.
What are you twirling?
Yeah. I thought I was doing really well. I was like,
what are you twirling, Dani?
Oh, it's my blanket.
I just see this thing like come up from the corner of the screen. Sorry to interrupt.
I felt like it fit the mood too with all the lighting and everything. I just have like a cotton ball in them.
Yeah. Sorry, continue.
Okay, sorry. It's a hoodie blanket. That's why it's got this on it, by the way.
Okay.
If anybody's questioning. Where was I at with that?
You're talking about like working out. Okay.
With this too. Now,
you're fine. I do too. You're talking about going to the gym, getting stronger.
Oh yeah. So I did all that. I found a public wrestling school that was reasonably priced for me. And it was called the WWA 4 in Atlanta, which was the closest to me at the time. So I moved out to Atlanta. I wanted to go to Florida, but those schools were a bit too pricey. So I moved to Atlanta for wrestling. I started at the WWA 4, and then here we are now. And my eyes were really opened to what wrestling is like too. There's a lot that goes into it. There's so much more than I thought. Like I said, I didn't know about the independent scene before I started. I just knew like one company. So once I found out, I didn't even know who my trainer was. AR Fox. I was like, who's that? And then I found out like all the stuff, and my eyes were just like, it was like a kid in a candy shop. You know, once you learn the basics and like the foundation of what exactly goes into putting on a wrestling match, I fell in love with it like that much more. So it was pretty.
I come from a so like you and a lot of people know I'm a filmmaker, but originally I wanted to be an actor, and I did like theater in high school and everything. And I feel like it's so easy to look up to, look on the theater or look at a wrestling ring and be like, I want to do that. But to actually pursue that, that's like really hard. So
it is very hard.
Like what were some of the struggles that you faced whenever you were going through that process? Because, going to the gym is hard enough. Like I struggle with that alone. So, but there's so many factors that go into wrestling. You have to be good at acting and selling, but you also have to be fit and you have to look good.
Yeah, it's a lot of aesthetics.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know where to start on that. What did I go through? I went through so much stuff. Like I moved out of my house, or my mom's house, for the very first time in my life. So to move here to Atlanta for wrestling. So I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I had just bought a car for the very first time. So I had my first, like I took a loan out. I'm making car payments and like that's a very adult thing to do. So, but I had the money for it at the time because I was a manager at Chipotle. So I was just saving up my money. I wasn't going to college, so I had some time. So I bought my car. So a lot of my money was going into that. And then I moved out. And then a lot of my money went into rent. And then all the other bills that I had to cover. So like, and plus groceries and things like that, like insurance, whatever it may be. It's just all like the main problem is money. That's a huge struggle for me and for a lot of independent wrestlers. But then there's like life on top of money, so like anything that happens within the family or the friend group or whatever. There was a lot of family things. Like I lost a lot of people in my life overall, but especially like when I was here away from my mom and stuff like that, I lost a lot more family. So that was rough. I think I lost 4 family members over the course of 3 years being here. So that was hard to deal with. And it's been a whole lot of stuff on top of that. So things like that. But it was definitely meant to be. Like I wouldn't change anything for the world. Like I'm glad that I've made the struggles and the sacrifices that I have to do this. Because when I was first thinking about going to the training school, I was concerned about money. Because I was like, how am I going to be able to move out on my own for the first time, have my car, and pay for my wrestling school? I had no idea how I was going to pay for the school. So I was like, maybe I should put it off for another year or so and save up some more money. I don't know. But the funny thing is, where was I just working? Chipotle. Before Chipotle, I was working at Cracker Barrel, and I was a server. So I was just making like cash tips. So I had a lot of cash. So I used to hide my cash before I get to go to the bank. I used to hide it in like places in the house. So just like I don't know, my socks, a bag, just all over the place, crazy spots. Because I had too much until I collectively like brought it all to the bank to
Your house would have been so sketchy looking if it got like broken into or whatever.
Yeah, with all this cash everywhere. Does this person sell drugs? No. So we moved out of that house to another house.
Mm-hmm.
And then then after I switched jobs and stuff, like 3 years later, in this new house that we have, I'm about to go to Atlanta, and I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to afford it. I told my mom. She was totally happy with it. She was like, oh, that's great. You know, you should go follow your dreams. Super supportive, which was great. And then one day she calls me upstairs, and she's in like one of the guest rooms or something, and she pulls out this don't laugh at me. She pulls out this Jonas Brothers tote bag that I have. And in that is like a bunch of scarves that I never wore. Because for some reason, like scarves were the thing. It was the Hannah Montana era where like scarves were the thing. So I had a lot of scarves, lots of crazy colors and weird designs, like peace signs all over them. Never wore a single one of them. And so they're in my Jonas Brothers tote bag. And at the very bottom of it was a plastic sandwich bag with cash in it. And on it, I wrote $1,000 cash. And it said school. And my mom was like, what is this? And I was like, I don't know. And she's like, this is cash that you used to hide around the house. This one you must have never found. But why does it say school on it? Was this for college? And I was like, we were like, it had to have been for college, because I took like one online college psychology class before I actually went to college. But then 2 weeks before I was supposed to have college classes, I dropped out because I didn't want to go. So that's another story. So this was for school and I never used it. So it was just sitting in this bag. So we found it, and she was like, this is a sign you have to move to Atlanta and go to wrestling school, because why would you have this random bag that says school? It was for a school, just not college school, not education. Not to knock on education, but just saying.
Yeah. Do you remember the moment when you decided, like, I don't want to do school anymore? Because that's what always fascinates me. Because
the moment, yes.
You do?
Yeah. Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Oh, I was just gonna say, because I went to school and I hate school so much, but somehow I persisted and I finished. But I'm always fascinated when people were like, yeah, school just wasn't for me, so I quit. And I was just like, man, I thought about quitting every day. And that's not like knocking anyone that quits.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like, obviously it seems like you've been pretty successful at what you do, but I'm always interested to hear that. So
yeah. Thankfully, I was really determined to be successful without going to college, because I wanted I'm just stubborn, so I just wanted to prove everybody wrong. I wanted to be like, no, I can be successful in life without going to college. Watch me, I'm going to do it. And I think I'm on the way there. Hopefully everything still works out, but like I think I found my path to doing that. So thankfully I didn't go to college. But yeah, I remember the exact moment that happened to me, that I thought that. And I was like, no. F that, I'm not going. It was because I was never like good at school anyway. So I didn't get like great grades in high school or anything. So I didn't qualify to just go straight into a 4-year school. I had to go to community college first. So I was going to go to Georgia Southern. And so they have this like community college like right across the street from Georgia Southern campus. It's like East Georgia State College or something like that. So I had to go there first before I went to Georgia Southern. So I'm signing up for classes, and I'm actually in this community college. I'm signing up for classes, and I had been there a couple times to like get books and stuff like that. So I already like had a book, because this was after I took my my online psychology class. I just wanted to take an online class before I actually started classes. So I'm signing up for courses, and this lady is in this room with a bunch of us, and she's coming around telling us like what we have to take according to like, I guess, however smart you are, like what your grades were and stuff like that. I don't know. Or like what you want to go to school for, right? So none of these classes are what I want to go to school for. It's just like math, science, history, like basic stuff, right? So I said to her, I just did, she was like, you have to do this, this, this. And she named specifically, I remember, algebra. And I was like, I just took algebra my senior year of high school. I've actually taken it twice because I failed it the first time. I'm not good at school. So I was like, I've already taken this. Why do I have to take it again? And she was like, everything you did in high school doesn't matter. And I said, they told me everything I did in high school mattered to get into college. And she was like, you're going to have to take them all again anyway. That's just what you have to do for when you first enroll. You have to take those classes again. And I was just like, I wanted to flip the table. I was like, this doesn't make sense. They said the opposite of what you're saying. And I'm so confused now. I have to take the exact same classes that I just took right like again right now. Why? For like 2 years? For 2 years. And then I get to take classes that are related to what I want to do for like my life, my career. I don't want to do algebra in my life, like as a living. So I was like, no, I'm not going to do it. So like 2 days before I was supposed to start classes, I just dropped them. And I was like, I can't get over what this lady said to me. It's in the back of my mind. Everything you did in high school doesn't matter. And it would just haunt me in my dreams. And I was like, this doesn't make sense. So I didn't want to waste my money on it. And I'm glad I made that choice. Sometimes I wish I went to college because I hear about people's experiences and stuff like that. And sometimes I'm like, man, I probably should like have a degree or something I can like fall back on just in case. Because that's smart. Like wrestling isn't for everybody. And I just really put all my eggs in that basket though. I was like, I got to do it. So I can't.
And that's super admirable. What'd you say? You said something too.
I said I just can't let wrestling fail me.
That's awesome. And I was just saying that's super admirable of you, like, because I've on the Enneagram, I'm a loyalist, and that means like I like security and everything. And or maybe that's a 7. I can't remember. I'm a 6-wing 7, but I've always enjoyed security in my life, so I played life very safely up until I moved here to Atlanta. So I'm always curious to see like how people like got to where they are, especially people like you that were like, no, didn't really have a safety net or anything, just went for it. Like that's so awesome to me.
That's so not something that I would ever do either. Like I've
really?
always been a security net, like safety net person. Yeah. I've always had like a life plan. The wrestling was not in that life plan at all. So I completely like, I don't know why. I literally don't know why. I just was like, I gotta do it. And I literally just, I can't explain why. Something in me was just like, there's too many signs. I have to go do it. I have to go try and see what happens. And I think that this is my way in to having a successful life and being happy for some reason. And so far it's working and it's doing that for me. So I'm glad that I just took a leap of faith, I guess. But yeah, it's so unlike me to do that. I'm so obsessed with like staying like sturdy. I have a fear of the unknown. So like if I don't have my life planned, if I don't have my day planned, I go insane. Like, I wake up in the morning, even the day before, I'll like be like, all right, so wake up at this time. I have this much time to get ready. Then I have to go to this place at this time. So that means I should leave at this time to get there at that time. And like that entire day is in my mind exactly like that. So it drives me insane. So if like one thing throws it off, I'm so mad for the rest of the day because I'm just like, oh my God, I needed to drop off my laundry at this time and I didn't get to. Now I got to do it tomorrow. Now tomorrow's going to be all messed up because I didn't do it today. So it's something small like that. Or like, you know, I didn't eat on time. I don't know. So like not having my life planned out like that, like it sometimes drives me crazy because I'm like, what am I doing? Like I gotta make it by like in like 5 years or I'm kind of done, you know. I don't want to I feel like I'm on a time crunch now too to like be like a signed successful wrestler, I guess. So we'll see we'll see how all that goes.
And you said wrestling isn't for everyone, and I mean you can literally say that about anything. Like I can hang out with a person for an hour and I can usually tell if like college isn't right for them or filmmaking or something. But what do you think are some characteristics of someone that's just not ready for wrestling? And are you able to look at someone and hang out with them for a minute and be like, I don't think this is for you, man or girl?
If they're already in wrestling and I'm like hanging out with them, or
just you know, you've been in the independent scene, or even on like a bigger scale, that would be interesting to hear if you're like, I don't think you're ready for this, or I don't think this is for you.
Yeah, there have been moments like that, but I don't know how to describe them. Mm-hmm. It's like, I don't know, because like not everyone has like the same characteristics, I guess, of somebody that you can kind of tell like they're probably not going to make it or something like that. I think like for the most part I have a genuine hope for like everybody that they make it, or that they get to do something that I guess defines success in their own way or like happiness in their own way. So whatever makes you happy, like do that. But as far as like being signed or I guess just being signed, it's not for everybody. Like I don't think that everybody is going to be signed. There's a lot of wrestlers, and for the most part, companies look for like a specific kind of person anyway, you know, unless you're like this extremely crazy, unique kind of character, or you have this extremely crazy, unique look to you. Excuse me. That's like, that'll stand you out from the others. Some people, if you just look completely normal, like, I don't know. I guess those are the kinds of things that you kind of see in people. I don't really know how to describe it, because like there's a lot of like normal looking people in wrestling, but at the same time it's their character or something that's gonna set them aside from just their look. I don't know how to describe this.
I think with like filmmaking, something that helps me because I've had a lot of people ask me like, do you think I can make it in filmmaking, or do you think I could do this or that? And if you're not working, if I don't see you putting in the work, or you're not talking about it like all the time, like for instance, my roommate Nathan, he's currently training where Dani trains right now. Actually, he's been off and on, but Nathan, my roommate, is the biggest wrestling nut that I know. He talks about it all the time, and I'm like, that dude's passionate about wrestling. I think he could probably make it if he really tried and applied himself. And it seems like he's been working hard. Have you seen that a couple of times in wrestling where maybe you're like, you're not working as hard as you should be to reach, like, you know, the big leagues?
Yes, all the time. I think that's part of what I was wanting to describe that I couldn't quite describe. Like, I guess their work ethic and stuff like that, because you can definitely tell who's not doing the things that they should be doing. You know, if they've not changed at all in like 3 years or so, there's something wrong. You know, like let's say if they need to improve their body or like their physical condition or their promo work or their in-ring skills, anything, if they're not improving in any sort of way or they're not trying to or wanting to, they're not gonna, most likely they're not gonna get anywhere, because you gotta, no one's just gonna come knocking on your door and say, hi, we saw you once, you want a contract on television? Yeah, sure, I'll take it. Like no one just comes knocking on your door. And a lot of people think that they're deserving, or that they should, that they should, you know, they should get something over somebody else because they've been in it longer or something like that. But it's not like, it's not a matter of who's been in it longer. It's a matter of the work that you're putting in, the effort that you're making. They want to see that you're not going to give up, that you're going to put it all on the table. You know, you're going to show them what you can do to the best of your ability. And you always want to keep improving. Like you're not ever going to get to a point where you stop learning in wrestling. And some people get to a point where they feel like they've stopped learning, or that they know a lot more than everybody else because of how long they've been in it or something like that, you know, which is unfortunate that some people think that way, but they do. And, you know, you're always going to get those people in literally any business that you're in, like any industry, not just wrestling. It's going to happen everywhere. So it's just human nature, you know. It's not to crap on anybody in wrestling. I'm just saying overall. But yeah,
and I totally get that. I'm not going to name any names, but I have a friend who calls himself an actor, and he like made a big move to a big city, and I've made a lot of good connections here in Atlanta, and I've been like, I've called him up a couple times. I'm like, hey man, what have you been doing? And he's just like, oh man, I'm just working at this restaurant and, you know, hanging out. And I'm like, you're not trying to call anyone or, you know, go to auditions. And he's like, no, I'm just kind of, you know, waiting for that big moment. And I'm like, you can't do that. It's like, if you're trying to go into pretty much anything entertainment wise and you're trying to be a lone wolf, that's just not going to work. Like you have to make connections, you have to meet people. And just like you said, like you met AR Fox at the school, and you didn't realize he's a big deal, but that probably helped you like meet more people and make better connections. And then you made your way through the indie scene, and then we'll get to this in a minute, but Dani's been on AEW. Whoa.
Wow. Yeah, I have. Yep.
I guess you haven't. You seem surprised.
Who,
me?
Yeah.
Yeah, like
connections is the biggest thing too. Go ahead. What were you saying?
I was gonna let you finish.
I don't know where I was going with that.
But yeah, connections is a big thing. And do you remember that moment whenever so Dani also does this thing called Southern Honor Wrestling. She's an amazing wrestler in that she's rose to the top. And whenever you made that transition from Southern Honor to you've also been on All Elite Wrestling. What was that like? It's not, I mean, you're not like on the main roster, but you've been on there a couple times. I'm really throwing up my words right now.
What has that been like?
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean? Like comparing indies to?
Yeah, I guess that's a better question. Comparing like, you know, indie wrestling to like, you know, actually being on TV.
Oh, it's a huge difference. Indie wrestling is so like, it's just a completely different thing. Like it's not as, not that it's not as put together, but it's not as like big picture, like structure. You know what I mean? So there's not as much production behind it. The lighting and stuff like that. What's going on with my hair right now? It's like keeps falling in my face. The production, the lighting is different. The sound is all different. Like, you know, when you come out, you're not going to get that big Titantron entrance. You know, all the aesthetics as far as that goes is different. But even behind the scenes, like your pay, you know, like you go by whatever your rate is at that time. Sometimes you got to negotiate with the person. There's like you kind of come in and you're like, all right, who am I working tonight? Or if you already know, that's great. Sometimes you find out when you like when you arrive at the venue or something like that. And then you have, until showtime to like go over it with that person and see what you're going to do. Sometimes you run into issues, which I guess happens also on bigger companies and stuff like that. But it's a lot more planned and structured as far as ultimate the story goes and everything. So there's a lot. I feel like there's a lot more stories involved on TV too. So stuff like that, and also you get like an agent for your match on TV, and on the indies, I've never had one. So I mean, I've had people help me put it together, but I've never really had like an agent until I had to do like TV wrestling. So that I love that. That's awesome. I'll take an agent every time, please. But like, I mean, it's great putting it on myself, which you still get to like, have your moves and your ideas and stuff like that out there. But like having an agent kind of just helps smooth everything over, because like I don't know everything, so I can put together a match and have some cool spots, but then I can also have something that doesn't make any sense, and then I didn't realize at the time, or my opponent didn't realize at the time when we put it together, which has happened plenty. So having an agent is a lot easier. And then I don't know, there's a lot of differences. Catering, that's a different TV wrestling as catering, which is awesome. Yeah, I don't know. There's lots of things.
So a question that I would love to ask. So when I did theater in high school, I did like one musical, and that was West Side Story. And that took us like weeks to months to choreograph everything and plan everything to a T. But you guys do that like every single week, like with different people too. So how long does like a typical match take to like plan and stuff like that?
It can vary. Like it depends. Like if you're right there in the moment, just going over stuff like in the ring or something like that, it could take maybe half an hour. You can plan it out, maybe less, maybe a little bit more. Depends how long you have, before the show or something like that. But let me put it this way. So when we get to a show on the independent scene, here's another difference between TV and independent is on TV you get there a lot earlier in the day. So you're there like at like noon or 1 or 2, something like that, right? I get there at noon just because like I like getting there early, but also I was told noon. So I got there at noon, and the show is not until like 8:00 at night. So I love having all day to like do a bunch of stuff, but you might not call the match until like, 2, 3, something like that, but then you still have all that time to like remember it until you go out there finally. So you get to go over things. At an independent show, let's say the show's at 8:00, call time's usually like 4 or 5 at the latest. And some shows are like call time 6. And I'm like, 6? The show's at 7. I feel rushed at that point, because then that means I have from like 6:00 to 7:00 to find my opponent, and we can call the match. 7:00 to 8:00 to like go over everything, smooth it out, get dressed. Because getting dressed takes a while. If you have any promos to do, you got to do promos. If you have photos to take, you got to take your photos. If you have merch to sell before the show, you got to go do that. So there's a lot of things that we do, but like usually you're only there like 4 hours before showtime. So 4 hours to put a whole show together. Kind of.
That's wild. Like that you said, a lot of times it's like half an hour, because sometimes I go to shows and I'm just like, that would have taken me a year to perfect, and then they just do it.
It's hard.
That's incredible to me.
Once you get in the swing of things, but that's just to like, not to memorize the whole thing, but like putting together a match, you can call it within a half an hour. I'd say. Some people could do it shorter than that, and I'm like, oh my god, I need to like think about it a little bit more. Like sometimes when it comes to it, they're like, all right, what do you want to do? And I'm like that question makes me go dead inside, because I'm just like, oh my god, what are my moves? I don't know what to do. How do I put together a match? And like it just freaks me out, that question, sometimes, because I just go blank. And then I'm like, I don't know. What do you want to do?
I don't know. What do you want to do today?
Exactly.
Danny's also a
It's
huge
back and
SpongeBob
forth.
fan.
It's just back and forth all the time. Me and my opponent. I don't know. What do you want to do?
Danny, real quick,
Yeah.
what's your favorite SpongeBob episode?
Ooh, probably the night shift one.
Night.
Either okay, so it's that one or what did I just see? It was something recent that I just saw. Probably the one with the Flying Dutchman where they get on the ship and
The one where he's like, "You're good, you're good."
yeah, that one, yeah. Where they gave the guys like 3 wishes or something.
Oh no, that's a different one. Maybe.
No, is that a different one? No,
Maybe not.
that's the same one with like the perfume department and then like all that
We have to
stuff.
go through the perfume department.
Yeah. Where they had a bunch of wishes to do. And he was like, you have 3 wishes. And then Patrick was like, oh man, I wish Squidward was here to see this.
That's an amazing one.
That's such a good show.
You and Nathan are probably the only 2 people I can say almost any SpongeBob quotes, and people will, and you'll know. Because that's like that was my number 1 show growing up. I religiously watched SpongeBob.
Yeah, same.
I don't really watch the newer seasons, so I can't really commentate on those.
I was just about to say I've seen some newer ones, and they're not that bad. I've seen some bad new ones, but they're not that bad. It's just like the animation is different. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but like it makes sense to me. The animation is different, so it kind of like changes the vibe of the show. But like the stupid jokes are still there. They're all still the same, pretty much. It's just the animation. Like I think the other day they showed like Squidward with like blood, and I was like, they don't ever show blood.
What in the world?
I don't know. I could be like dreaming that. I don't know, but I could have sworn like he was getting hit by something, and then he came out of it, and he had like bandage face and like bloody face, and I was like, ew, this is not like what the drawers of the artists of SpongeBob would draw. Like it was
ew.
Yeah, it was gross. I was like, ew, that's not what they do.
I think my favorite is either Band Geeks or the one where they sell chocolate.
Those are good. Which Band Geeks? Is that the Super Bowl one?
Yeah.
Bubble Bowl? That's a good one.
I love that one.
So it's on Amazon Prime. So I feel like seasons 1 through 3 were the best.
Oh, absolutely.
4 is still really good. 5 is where it starts to change a little bit, but it's still funny.
Mm-hmm.
And I've watched
4 is whenever the fear of the Krabby Patty came in, right? The one where he's like scared of making Krabby Patties or something.
Yes.
I know this is exactly what everyone wants to talk about right now on the show.
I just saw that one they'll get over it. I just saw that one the other day. The fear of the Krabby Patty one. That was funny.
Mm-hmm.
One of my friends, Chris Crunk, shout out, I guess.
Shout out.
He was talking to me about an episode that him and someone else was talking about. And he was like, we're trying to figure out what the best episode of SpongeBob is. And he said, or they said collectively, the one with the hotel, the Krusty Towers, the hotel one. Do you remember that?
We shall never deny a guest. Or something like that.
Request, yes.
Yes, that's it.
That's the one. So the Krusty Towers one, they said, was one of the funniest ones. I don't know if it's one of the funniest ones. It is a good one. But if you go back and watch that one, let me know. I don't think it's one of the funniest. It is pretty funny.
I highly disagree. I don't even think it's top 10.
I don't even think... Yeah, I don't either. Maybe they said it was one of the best episodes. Maybe not just, like, funny. I don't know. Another good episode was when SpongeBob and Patrick had to paint Mr. Krabs' house with the dollar.
Yes, I love that one.
Yeah, and they could get paint on it. That one was so funny. Oh, my God. Like that.
I don't know what could be worse than a giant paint bubble. 2 giant paint bubbles.
Yeah. He was like it couldn't get any bigger. And he's like, nonsense. And he pops it up.
I think that's also home to one of the best SpongeBob jokes of all time, where he's like, "SpongeBob, we're not cavemen. We have technology." Gah, gah, gah. Just
That was the best.
in my
That's
opinion, with
really
comedy,
funny. And then he's like, "What are you
it's like
doing?"
so hard to do dumb humor.
I know, but
Like I
man,
think it's one of the most difficult things. What were you gonna say?
SpongeBob makes dumb humor so easy. There was that one other part where where Mr. Krabs got back home and he was like, "What have you done to me, Dollar Rabba?" And it's like Dollar Rabba.
I also like in that episode at the very beginning when they're about to go into his house and he's like, all right, are you guys ready for the super secret? And then their faces get really small and they're like, secret. That always cracked me up when I was a kid.
I know. Oh, it's such a good show.
It's a classic. So going back to wrestling, so what does backstage look like at a wrestling show? I feel like that's something that you don't really get to see a lot because, if you ever see it on TV, it's for, playing up characters and doing promos and stuff like that. So what does just like an average backstage set look like?
I don't know. It depends where
Probably a lot of sitting around and playing on your phone.
No, actually, no, I don't think it is. I mean, there's some of that if you have like downtime for it. Other than that, we're kind of just all up talking, having fun, going over matches, stuff like that. If there's like sometimes there's a meeting before the show, like the promoter, the booker, or whatever has a little meeting just to go over some stuff. Like, don't do this on the show, don't curse, whatever. It's a family show, or you can do this, or make sure you don't go into the barricade or go out into the crowd, something like that. If any announcements need to be made, then they're made. Other than that, we're just kind of goofing off, having fun. It's basically just a big hangout with a bunch of your friends. It's really fun. Locker room settings are very fun.
Locker room talk.
Yeah. They're the fun part of the show. I mean, putting on the show is fun, but being in the locker room is very fun too, because it's just a bunch of your peers and you guys have a good time.
Yeah, absolutely. So another important part of, wrestling is coming up with your character. And you have a really unique character that I don't think I've ever seen in wrestling. Your character is based off a movie, Mean Girls, and you call yourself the real Mean Girl, and you have a burn book and everything. So how did that come about besides, your undying love for Mean Girls?
Right. Besides that, it's been going on for my entire life, basically. It kind of happened on accident. Like, I feel like that's how a lot of cool like gimmicks and stuff start, is just on accident or nicknames or whatever. So I was kind of waiting for that accident moment to happen with me. Like, man, I wonder when I'm gonna have a cool like just a joke that starts out as just a joke that ends up being like a money making gimmick for me one day. And one day I got that because I was in my first like real feud with Lindsay Snow at Southern Honor. And so like I said, first real feud. And so the two of us have this big long building thing going on over like a couple months. And then one day it was coming to like a kind of like a blowout match technically, where oh man, I don't know what the stipulation was or if there was a stipulation, because what we ended up doing was like fighting all around the building. But
is that where you put a hole
yes,
in?
that's where I got thrown into the wall. So
oh my gosh, hold on just a minute, stall for 2 seconds.
Oh no, do you have the shirt? He's gonna get the shirt. TikTok.
So this is hanging up in our house. Nathan put this up.
Oh, I thought you were gonna get the shirt. Yeah, the frame.
So
I love that.
explain
framed at you guys' house, because what an honor.
So explain the story behind this picture.
Move it a little because there's a glare.
There is.
Yeah.
I can't see my screen. So.
There you go.
There it is.
There you go.
It's a work of art.
Explain it. I got thrown to a wall. What does it look like?
But how did
And
that come about?
into
You're
the
in a match
wall.
with Lindsay Snow.
Yeah, my match with Lindsay Snow. So, yeah, I got thrown into the wall with that one. I tried to put her into it, but then she reversed me, and then I went through the wall. But actually, I put her through a wall at another show, so I got revenge, and that was like a few months ago. So that was funny, like this year. What was I saying? So, the Mean Girls thing. So our feud was happening, and it kind of just started as a joke. One day, well, actually, right before we had that match, I was like, ugh, I wish I had like a burn book or something. I would just come out and like write your name in the burn book or something like that. Since we had this feud going, it would be funny. And then everyone was like, do it. You should do it. And I was like, you know what? I am going to do it. So I did it. And I think that's how it happened. I don't remember at this point. I have a terrible memory. So it was something like that. I don't know. But I love the movie, and I always love the movie, and I always quote it anyway. So it was kind of just like we were just probably just quoting Mean Girls or something. And I was like, oh, I want to put you in a burn book. And then I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna put you in a burn book. Because I don't think anyone is doing any sort of Mean Girls thing. So I was just like, F it, I'm gonna do it. Why not? I'm gonna go all in. And then when I did the burn book thing and I put her in there, she was the very first one that I put in there. Did that, made photocopies of her, and then I started passing out the photocopies of her burn book page when I came out for that match, because of that one scene in Mean Girls where Regina comes out and she has all the, she goes to the school and she's like sabotaging everybody with burn book copies so that the whole world could know that she has a burn book. And that was when I told the whole world that I had a burn book, was I followed in Regina George's footsteps.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, I got like t-shirts made. I made my own burn book, like a real one, and just fully committed. And then it sparked from there.
Fun fact about Danny's shirts. So, as some of you may know, I made a Tony Hawk Pro Skater video that Tony Hawk himself shared, and I had Nathan play the main skater, and Nathan is wearing a Dani Jordyn shirt. So cool cameo.
I was so happy when I saw that. I was like, oh, sick. They used my shirt in this. It made me really happy. Because I love Tony Hawk, too. Like, I used to play those video games all the time. I used to be super into skating. So it was cool. I wasn't good at it, but I liked like playing the skating video games and like watching it, going to the skate park. But I would not partake that often because I was bad.
I haven't started yet, but I actually like doing that video and getting shared by Tony Hawk made me want to learn how to do tricks. So I'm going to try to learn how to do an ollie soon.
Do more. Oh, good luck.
Yeah. Like even pro skaters have said the hardest trick I ever had to learn was an ollie.
Well, because that's like, isn't that like your first one that you got to learn?
I mean, it's hard because it's the foundation of every other trick.
Yeah. Yeah, true.
So doing an ollie is a trick in itself, but it's also like how you do other tricks.
Yeah.
So that's why it's hard.
My problem was that I was able to do tricks on the grass or something, or like in the house on a rug. But when it came to actually doing it on a hard surface with the wheels, I could not. I couldn't land it because I was scared. I was like, I'm gonna fall off. Now I feel like I could try it again now that I'm not really that afraid of falling, because now I wrestle, so it's not as bad. Or I know, like, now that I wrestle, I know how to fall properly and like not get severely hurt. So I feel like I could try it again now, but I don't have a skateboard.
You should. So longboards are way easier.
Yes, they are.
To ride.
I don't know any longboard tricks. If those
I don't think there are. It's a lot harder to do a trick on a longboard.
Yeah, I think you just cruise on it, which is fine.
Yeah, kind of. So going back to your character a little more. So you said it wasn't always like you being, Dani Jordyn, the mean girl. So how did it transition into, this is kind of like my personality, like, you can't sit with us, I'm the real mean girl. How did it transition into that?
I don't know. I didn't want it to just be like me having Mean Girls props and stuff like that. I wanted to bring more of the characteristics into it and just be funny, basically.
Mhm.
But I'm still myself, so I'm not like, when people ask me like who am I trying to be, like if I'm trying to be Regina George, no, I'm not trying to be Regina George. I'm just trying to be myself. But like Mean Girls influenced, because naturally, like I don't like people, but I also do like people. So it's like a combination of both, like I can express my rudeness to society in a way of where it's funny and entertaining and not offensive in a way. Does
Mhm.
that make sense? But like,
Yeah.
obviously I don't really mean it, but I can say things that like are along the lines of Mean Girls territory that, I can't say. It's like being a heel, but I bring that into being the Mean Girl character, even if I'm face, like a baby face as well. So it's kind of just
Mhm.
both. So, but yeah, I just kind of bring the rudeness of that into the character, and from myself, and just try to be like goofy and funny and good at wrestling.
No, that's awesome. So I actually have a question from Fitness Trainer 845. So
Okay.
he asked, curious how the pandemic might shift your future plans/goals. So actually, that was going to be one of my questions I wanted to ask.
Okay.
The pandemic started, and Danny used to work at DDP Yoga with me, and um, I was like, oh shoot, that's going to really affect Danny and David's like plans for wrestling, because Southern Honor won't be happening and a bunch of indie um, promos aren't going to be happening anymore. So, what did you do whenever that happened, and like how are you like handling it still?
Uh, um, ooh, I've done nothing. Pretty much. I don't know how else to describe that. I've done nothing.
Mm,
I've just kind of been sitting around at home staring at my roommates the whole time, and I'm just trying to get through
mm,
all of this, and then to the point where I could just wrestle again. Because I was going through a hard time. Like, I was kind of getting depressed because I had nothing going on. I was like, oh, this is the first time that I'm like, I have no work, I have no wrestling, no outside activities. I can't even like hang out with my friends past the time. So and I feel like everyone was in the same kind of boat with quarantine. So I was getting down in the dumps because of that. And then uh and then one day I got the call to just go to AEW to do dark. So that was cool. Uh and that kind of turned me around after that. So I was able to get back into working out and stuff like that. So I guess mostly I've just been focused on like my eating and uh and fitness. Other than that, I have like nothing else. Without wrestling now, I feel like I'm like normal. And I'm like, man, how did I live without wrestling before this? So
mm.
it's kind of bringing me back to what I was without wrestling, and I was not happy. So
I gotcha.
yeah.
So God forbid this ever happens, but let's just say like wrestling is just no more and it's banned or something. What do you think you would do?
Oh, I would try to go back into maybe some other stuff that I wanted to do, because like I said
Mm-hmm.
before, wrestling was never my like my life goal. So my other goal, the reason why I wanted to go to college and all that stuff, which I didn't end up doing, was because I wanted to be in marketing and advertising. So I wanted to
Mm.
do that. I wanted to make commercials, and I wanted to act also, but I wanted to
That's what
be
I went to college for.
what?
Advertising.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, and I hated it.
really?
I was like, I
How
want to be a filmmaker. This sucks. And I
well,
still kind of
that
am,
makes sense.
sort of,
If
but
you wanted to be a
well,
filmmaker, that's not what you'd go for, or is it? No.
well, not really. So I know you were talking, but I'll be real quick.
Yeah.
Uh, so I did it because I was scared. I was like, I don't think I could make money being a filmmaker. And I had a job at UPS for over 6 years, and that that job basically prevented me from being a filmmaker, because pretty much if you want to be a filmmaker at a film school, you have to do everything outside of the classes, and that like involve like, after hours stuff. So I was like, I can't do that. So that's why I did advertising, and now I'm here.
And now you're.
But anyway, back to you.
I've noticed a pattern with that too. That's another reason why I didn't want to go to college, because there's a lot of people that went and got a degree for something, and then they didn't do that whatsoever. Whatever they majored in, never did it.
I did not need a degree in what I wanted to do. I don't regret going, but
yeah,
I agree with you. You don't need it.
As long as you don't regret it, you don't have like tons of debt or anything. That's what matters, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
The experience is good to have, though, and at least you have like a backup just in case,
Oh, totally.
Yeah, but I don't. And what were we talking about? Advertising.
Just like what you would do if if wrestling didn't work out, or if it got banned, or just couldn't happen anymore.
Yeah, I think I would try to go back into. I would try acting first because I don't have a background in marketing and advertising, but I've still always wanted to do that, or at least like dabble in it, or I don't even know. I don't even have to like have a full job in it. I could just like write a couple things and like sell that idea. I don't know. Cause that's all I want to do is just, I have like a creative journal of commercials that I've written, that I've thought of, and sketch ideas, like sketch comedy, stuff like that. I love to do that too. Doing sketch comedy writing is something that I love as well. I'm more of a creative person, so any creative side of something that I can be involved in, I would love to do that. Like I'd love to work at Saturday Night Live. That'd be insane. So
that's a super hard gig to get. They kind of ask you. You don't really, go after them.
Yeah,
that's what's so hard.
One of my life goals that I want to accomplish is to host Saturday Night Live, or at least appear once. That's all.
I feel like hosting SNL is easier than getting on SNL.
Yes. I want to host. I want that. That's the first goal. I want to host SNL, because at least then the host usually gets some creative input, so if you're like a well-established host, they might ask you want to do. So if I'm like famous enough or whatever, I can just be like, I want to do this, and like turn in my sketches, or I'll post.
The Rock and John Cena have been on, so it's possible.
Right? Yeah, it's 100% possible. I could do it one day. I gotta get Tina Fey to notice me first.
You gotta get who?
Tina Fey.
Tina Fey. She is one of my favorite people in comedy.
Right. She's great.
She's brilliant. And you have a Tina Fey quote on your arm, don't you?
I do.
What does it say?
It says, whatever the problem, be part of the solution. Don't just sit around raising questions and pointing out obstacles.
That is an amazing quote. Tina Fey said that?
By Tina Fey. Yeah, I think it was from her book, but I didn't read her book, so I don't know.
Not a true fan.
Don't tell her that, but yeah. I just don't like reading.
If I ever meet Tina Fey, I'm going to tell her that.
If it was on audio, I would listen to it. I don't like reading. But no, I know it's from a book. I think. That's what the internet says. That's what the internet says is from her book. And I've seen a picture of it, so it's fine. But I was like, man, this is a great quote. And I just went for it. That's the first tattoo I ever got, too. So I was like, oh, if this is wrong, it's going to be terrible.
It looks pretty cool.
He said it, yeah. So when he was doing it, he was like, do you want the name on there, too? And I was like, Tina Fey? And I was like, yeah, why not? He was like, okay. So hopefully she never does anything dumb one day to where I wouldn't want her name tattooed on my body. But
I think she seems
no wrong.
I think she seems pretty safe, so I don't think anything's gonna happen to her.
I don't think so either, but you never know. I guess.
Right.
Tina Fey's amazing.
Well, Dani, we're
such a creative person. Nothing. Go on.
She really is. We keep interrupting each other. This is the most interruptions I've ever had on the show. It's
okay. I feel like sometimes there's a time lapse on these.
Yeah, there probably is too. So that makes it a little harder. But I was going to say, Dani, we're coming close to the end of the show. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
No, not really.
I actually do have one more thing. So Danny is going to be in a video game, which is really cool.
Oh
I've
yeah,
always wanted to be a video game character, and you're living it. So,
I am.
what can you tell us about that?
Um, so it's made by this company called Virtual Basement. It's still in development. I think it's set to launch around 2021.
Mhm.
I don't know a lot of details on it. I think they're still it's still in development, the whole thing, the whole game, and they're still like adding more characters all the time. So I would say just if you want any more information on it, don't ask me. I would ask them, or I would check their website or their Twitter is very active, so I would check them on Twitter because they always post like updates and stuff on there, and keep an eye on that and see what happens. But yeah, it's very cool to be in a video game. It's first video game that I'm going to be like a main character in, aside from anybody that makes me in like the 2K games or something, which people do all the time, which is very cool. Somebody sent me a picture recently of them playing something, so I guess a 2K game, and they like they had me there, and they were like, it already has like 20 downloads or something like that. And I was like, oh man, it's awesome. I don't know if it
That
was
is
20.
cool.
It was something. It was more than 5 for sure. I was like, oh my god. So it's pretty cool.
It's somewhere between 5 and 10,000 downloads. I don't know.
So right. I don't keep track anymore.
Somewhere in between there. Well, everyone, please give it up for the real mean girl, Dani Jordyn. Danny, it was a pleasure to have you on. Tell everyone where everyone can find you on socials.
You can find me on Instagram at Dani J, Danij. That's very simple. Twitter is, I think, just at Dani Jordyn, Jordyn. And if you want, check my YouTube page. I don't post a lot. I'll try to update some more on there, but you can still find me on YouTube, get some views on there. I have a couple matches that were uploaded. Check that out. And or Pro Wrestling Tees. I have a Pro Wrestling Tee store as well. I have 2 t-shirts out. There may be more coming out soon. I don't know. But yeah, check me out on both of those.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Danny. And everyone, thank you so much for watching. Thank you everyone that tuned in. And if you're watching on audio or on YouTube, thank you for watching and listening. If you want to find out more information or about future episodes, you can follow me on everything. It's at Portable Trevor. My YouTube page is youtube.com/Portable Trevor. Check us out there. And I hope you guys all have a blessed day. Bye.